there's nothing quite like fishing in the shadow of 5 giant windmills, especially with these shaders on. Absolutely love it. But they appear to be spinning the wrong way, as I was politely informed in the comments by numerous people. So let's quickly fix that first, shall we? There we go, that's better. So welcome back to Perfect World Post-Production, where last time we built this wind farm behind me, and this time we're going to get all the power from these farms connected to the mainland. But to do that, we're going to need somewhere for it to go over here on our seaside town, which means we're going to need another building. But something else I want to do today is upgrade my gear. I die in this world way too often, which means I need better armor. Some feather falling boots, for example, would be absolutely wonderful. And I'd also like to stop breaking my tools if I can, so that means we also need an enchanting setup and maybe some librarian villagers too for mending and other things. Although I did get a book while fishing, sadly I didn't get any mending. And that means I'm going to need another building to turn into a library and enchanting place. Lots to get done today, but it all requires space. So I guess the first thing we're going to do is maybe plan out some buildings. And I'm thinking we'll just continue this row across. Maybe we could have like a little walkway up the back here to get to the car park type area. Then we'll have a building for some librarians, an enchanting setup. We'll have another building for transferring all the power from out there. And I guess we're going to need to extend this dock out the front a little bit as well. In fact, let's start with that and then we'll mark out where some buildings can go. Now that's given us a bit more space to work with. I think what we're going to do is stick in a building on this side here, and then we'll have another one next to it for the power. I think I want to use diorite for this building. We'll have maybe like an entrance there. Ow! Who was that? Aha! I see ya. Get out of it. So how about a sort of multi-level building? So we could maybe have this floor here be a little bit lower. That means we can stick another entrance down here, maybe, just to mix it up a little bit. So first building, maybe something that size. And we'll give it a couple of stories, maybe. And that means we can have maybe an enchanting room upstairs, a library downstairs. Then let's grab a different block to mark out the building next door. And that one's going to hold our power. So let's maybe make some packed mud for this one. In fact, let's turn them into mud bricks because they look quite nice. And this building's not going to need to be particularly big. So maybe like 9 blocks wide. But let's maybe have it sticking out a bit further than the diorite build. So maybe that sort of size? Yeah, I think this could look quite good. So I guess now what I need to do is actually build the buildings. I think we'll do another time lapse for this. Well, I'm pretty pleased with that so far. I think that's looking pretty good. I particularly like the solar panels on the roof here. I've just made those with some daylight sensors, and what I actually did was glued them all together and then put a mechanical bearing underneath. And this just allows me to tilt them. But I think they're looking very cool. I have left this roof here blank, however, because I believe I'm probably going to end up putting some kind of tower on here so I can actually then distribute the power via cables and chain conveyors and things like that. But we've got plenty of space inside here to manage all the power stuff. And in this building next door, we've got lots of space downstairs in order to build a library. And upstairs, we've got space where we can build an enchanting room. And I'll probably actually put some stairs between the 2 floors on the interior as well, because they are kind of related. They don't need to be separate buildings, but it kind of depends on space, really. But in order to build a library and have somewhere nice to put my librarian villagers that we're going to get later in the episode, I'm going to need bookshelves, a whole lot of bookshelves, which means I'm going to need lots of leather and lots of paper. Currently, I have 22 leather and 25 paper, so yeah, we definitely need to do something about that. So we could farm rabbits, We're not going to farm rabbits. We could farm hoglins, which might not be a bad idea. We could farm mushrooms or cows or horses or donkeys, but we probably won't do that. There's fishing, of course, but that's no good to us. We do have a bunch of leather horse armor and things like that we could potentially crush down, and some leather armor that we can chop up, but we're not going to get much for that. It's not really going to be anywhere near enough. And then the other options, of course, are to raid a stronghold, because if we find a library in a stronghold, we'll get loads of bookshelves. Or we could raid villages, but you don't really get many bookshelves from villages, and you're not guaranteed to get them either. Or, of course, there's always the woodland mansion, and we know exactly where one of those is. The problem is we're not really geared up for a woodland mansion, and it's a bit of a catch-22, because I want to gear up so that we can do things like the woodland mansion, but to do that, I need the bookshelves from the woodland mansion. So yeah, that's our options. The question is, what one are we going to do? I mean, we do have plenty of wheat, so we could just breed up some cows. Will you stop destroying my wheat field, buddy? Right, that's him dealt with. We're going to keep the emotional support Enderman over here, though. We like him. Right, so I've got some leads. We've got some wheat. Let's go see if we can find some cows. Actually, wait a minute. We've got a massive mushroom island over here. Wow, and it's actually got a ocean monument right on the coast. But there's going to be lots of mushrooms over here, so we can just breed those up. I feel like that's going to be the best way to do things. So over here at the Mushroom Island, let's build ourselves a cow pen. And let's get ourselves lots of these mushrooms. Yes, that's it. Pile into the fence. And then we're just going to get lots of baby mushroom cows. We're going to breed those up. And once we've got a whole bunch of cows in here, we'll get some leather by the means of magic and slaughter. So although we've got a bunch penned in, I might as well do some hunting while I'm here. Well, there's no more wild mushrooms on the island, and it only got me 56 leather. So yeah, we're definitely going to need to breed these up. But mushrooms aren't the only things we need. Well, leather isn't the only thing we need, I should say. We also need lots of paper, but we can get paper from tree bark, which is basically just stripping logs, and we can do that on a cutting board. And because we've got a tree farm, I'm not too worried about that. We just need to stand here and wait for the cows. Well, that's a whole lot of cows. We're going to breed them up one last time, and then we'll take care of all the adults, and that should hopefully give us enough leather. Well, it wasn't pretty, but we got the job done. And we have almost 2 stacks of leather. We've also already got 20 back at base, so hopefully that's going to be enough to do a library. Now, if we just spend a bit of time at our chopping board, we'll get all the bark we need to make our paper. So I just went to look at the book recipe, and it turns out I didn't need leather after all. I could have just done this with canvas. We've got loads of straw downstairs. What a waste of 45 minutes. Yeah, look at that. We've got over 700 of the stuff. So if we just do that and that, then yeah, we're going to get books that way. And a short while later, we've got a whole load of books. We've got a whole load of stripped wood as well. We're actually going to use some of that to make our bookshelves. We're going to make some slabs so that we can make some chiseled bookshelves as well. And that has not given us as many as I was hoping, if I'm honest. 60 bookshelves. That was a lot of work for 60 bookshelves. Jeez. And I'm going to want to turn a bunch of these into lecterns as well. So yeah, that's really not left us with a lot at all, has it? Oh well, it'll have to do for now. I'm done making books. Now, I think first up, I do want to put some stairs in so we can get to the upper levels. So let's just jam some of these in here. Wonderful. And now we just need a whole load of bookshelves. So if we were to maybe put bookshelves under the stairs here, and we could put lecterns there and some seats and have some librarians. In fact, because we don't have as many bookshelves as I would have liked, let's maybe put in some cupboards at the bottom here. Yeah, that's quite nice, actually. I like that. Then I think we want some kind of table in the middle here as well. So I've established I definitely need more books, so we are just going to turn some of the leather into books as well. I was trying to avoid it because leather has other uses, but it's fine. So in total, we have just over 2 stacks of leather, which means we have a lot more of that than we do paper. So if we just use up the paper that we had, that gives us 10 more bookshelves. Is that going to be enough to get this room finished? I reckon if we jam in a couple more empty ones. Yes, wonderful. So that's going to give us enough room for 5, 6, 7, 8 librarians in here. So let's go make some chairs for them, sort out the floor, do a bit more decoration, and then we'll go find ourselves some villagers. And I have a bit of a plan on how we're going to get them. I think I want to use some red wool on the floor, which means we're going to need to make red dye. And I reckon if we make a bucket of dye again, that's going to be the best way to do it. So we need water in there and red dye. Oh, we've got some andesite alloy in there as well. Wonderful. So if we just rotate that round, put the red dye in there, chuck in our wool, that'll turn it red. I have to say, I do really like like this dyeing system. We need to build like a big array of all the different colors at some point. But that's not our job for today. Now, something else I want is a loom table. We'll just chuck that in this corridor for now. But this means we get some cool patterns we can put on our red wall. What pattern do we want though? So how does this stuff look? Yeah, I like the red. That looks nice. But let's get this place finished off, shall we? Alrighty, that's not looking too bad. We've got all of our seats in. We've got place for all of our librarians that we're going to get. So we've still got all of these empty bookshelves. So as we get books over time, I will start to fill those. But I think this is going to be a lovely home for our librarians. Although it does occur to me, because we've used all our bookshelves down here, we don't actually have any left over for upstairs for doing our enchanting setup. But that's fine, we'll solve that problem shortly. What we need to do is go get ourselves some villagers. I've got an idea on how we can do this. So we're going to grab our dried ghast, and in fact we also need some water. We don't have any, let's just grab a bucket. We're going to grow ourselves a ghast. So we're also going to need a ghast harness. We're going to need leads. We've only got 4 leads. I think we can make more easily enough though. Yep, there we go. Gonna take a boat. And in fact, we're probably gonna make a few more boats. And we don't have any snow or snowballs, which might be a bit of a problem, because I think that's what we need to actually sort of attract the ghast towards us. We'll deal with that later. Maybe we'll find some on the way to a village. Now we're also going to need a ghast harness. There we go. The question is, where is the closest village? Because the ghasts are not the fastest things in the world. Now, there's a desert village over here. Oh, there we go. There's a spruce village just over here. That's not very far away. That might be our best bet. It's only the next island over. So we just need this fella to get a bit happier. While we wait for the ghast, I'm going to make some food. We're actually running out of ratatouille. But as we've got loads of beef, thanks to the mushrooms, I reckon we can make ourselves some burgers. So we're going to need onions, tomatoes, lettuce, bread, and we need to turn these steaks into beef patties. Get those cooked up, and meanwhile, we'll chop down some cabbage. Well, we're waiting for burgers, we're waiting for the ghast. It feels like a good time to go make a cup of tea, and when I come back, hopefully we'll have everything we need. Right, I've got a fresh cup of tea. Let's make some burgers. So lettuce, tomato, onion, bread, and patties. There we go. Yum, yum, yum. Right, how's our ghast doing? Well, he's looking a lot happier, but he's not been completely rehydrated yet. But he shouldn't be long. Oh, there we go. One happy ghast. Oh, I love the gills on the side. They're so cool. But the problem is he's actually small. I forgot about that. We're going to have to wait for him to grow up before we can actually use him. More waiting. Oh, and there we go. Our ghast is all grown up. Oh, he looks so cool with his hat. Right, let's go steal some villagers. Oh my, this guy's slow. May as well do a cinematic flight then, I guess. Well, it took forever, but we've finally made it. Let's snatch up some villagers. Right, we've got 4 so far, and if I remember correctly, we can now actually attach boats to ropes like this. Wonderful. And I believe I can attach these boats to the ghast. Maybe I can only attach one at a time? Oh, there we go. I had to shift click to do it. Now the question is, can I attach multiple? Well, it looks like I can. Well, I can't see any more villagers. I think we've got them all, so I guess it's time for the long flight home. And it looks a mess, but at least we've got loads of them. Back to cinematic mode, I guess. I've successfully managed to get everyone back here. The problem I have at the moment is that I don't actually know how to detach the boats. I thought it might be like shift right click, but it's not. Maybe while I'm flying, I just press like Q or something. That's the drop button, isn't it? Let me get above land and try that. No, that doesn't work. I really am at a loss. Well, I couldn't work it out, so I had to Google it. What I need is some shears. So let's go bring these guys back over where we want them. And if we use the shears... Excellent. It's just piled up all of my villagers. Now I just need to try and separate them into different boats again. All right, that should make these guys a bit easier to deal with. Now we're just going to drag them into this building. Right, that's one librarian in. Now to do the rest. Although I do need to save a couple of these to be Fletchers as well. So let's actually take some of these guys downstairs. And then we'll use the Fletchers to sell sticks so we can get the emeralds to buy the things we need from the librarians. Well, I don't know why I'm rowing them everywhere. It's much quicker with the lead. Right, well, I've got all of my librarians in, or at least as many as I had. We've got a couple of empty seats, so we're going to need to make a villager breeder. But their offerings leave a lot to be desired, so we're going to be doing a lot of re-rolling over here, I think. I mean, what even is Hellfire? Then we've got Smite, we've got Loyalty, it's all a load of rubbish. But we'll worry about that shortly. For now, what I want to do is sort out the Fletchers. So we did keep 3 villagers down here, and I'm thinking if I just put a few fletching tables down, get some trapdoors on top of those so they can't escape, and hopefully all these guys will just become Fletchers. Oh, no, apparently they can escape. No, don't go in the crushing wheels! All right, so we now have 3 guys here that will buy sticks. We've got our librarians upstairs. Ignore this wall. It just took them a while to forget their workstations that they grabbed upstairs. But we got them to switch eventually. But what I need to do is a whole bunch of re-rolling because I need to make sure that I get the books through here that I want. And that's something that could take quite a while. So in the meantime, what I'm going to do is sell a whole bunch of sticks. I'm going to get lots of emeralds and we're going to buy some bookshelves because that way we can make our enchanting room. And look at this. We've got almost 4,000 sticks in here from our tree farm. Wonderful. Although, if I start buying bookshelves, it is going to lock them in, isn't it? Oh, hello, look at that. Mending book for 11. We've only re-rolled Santana a few times. Well, we definitely want to keep that locked in. We've only got a couple of spare books in the bookshelves around here, but let's make sure that he is definitely going to keep that. Wonderful. And this guy's going to trade Infinity, which is meh, but at the same time, he does do bookshelves. We do want bookshelves, so Tiffany, thank you very much. We are going to need more than that, though, so I guess we need to go sell more sticks. Right, there we go. 20 bookshelves. That's much better. Now, I want to put an enchantment setup over here. So something like that should do the trick. We just need to get the actual table in, and we need to make this room look nice. And we need a door. We don't even have a door on this place yet. But I am well chuffed with that mending for 11. That's amazing. And in fact, it's actually 10. It's just 11 because I may have punched Santana while trying to get them into their seats. It'll go back to 10 soon, though. Right, let's build an enchanting room. So let's place a door down here, and then when we open it, we have a complete room. Wonderful. So it's fairly basic in here, just lots of books, a grassy leaf ceiling. We have an alchemy bench here, which will come in handy, but mostly just looks cool. We do, of course, have our anvils. We've got a chest to store the lapis in. We have a max level enchantment setup, and of course, a grindstone for taking off enchants when we don't want them. So that means we're going to finally be able to enchant our gear, which I'm looking forward to. But for now, I think that's that first building complete. Now it's time to sort out the power, which means we need to get the power all the way from over there to here. And we're also going to need to make sure that these things are constantly being powered, which means we're going to need chunk loaders. And in this pack, we do have create chunk loaders, or create power loaders, I think it's called. And to make these, we need a giant crafting table, lots of precision mechanisms, a respawn anchor. Yeah, lots of fancy stuff, which means we're going to need to do some piglin trading to get some crying obsidian. We've got a bit, but not enough. We're going to need probably like 3 or 4 chunk loaders for all of this. We're also going to need to set up a giant crafting table, but once again, we'll probably just do it over there temporarily. Although, to be fair, we could actually bring the power over first and just do it in that building, because then we can do it much faster. But yeah, either way, chunk loaders, definitely on the list. First up, though, let's get the power over to this building and make something that looks cool. I think we just want, like, a big display board showing how much power we've got and how much we're using, and the rest of it's pretty much going to be decorative. So we can have a bit of fun with that. If we want to display the power, however, we are going to need display boards, which means we need, great, lots more electron tubes, our favorite. And we're also going to need display links. So we've got a bunch of crafting to do before we can start building. Although it looks like before I can craft, there's a whole bunch of stuff I need to gather. So I'm going to get some torches. And I've got enough levels for a few attempts at making a Fortune 3 pickaxe. So let's grab some of these bits and see what we can rustle up, because I would like to maximize the ore that we're getting. I think this carpet might be blocking the bookshelves at the bottom here. Yeah, there we go. That's better. There we go. Fortune 3, efficiency 4. We've also got efficiency on that one, so we can make ourselves an efficiency 5 pickaxe, but let's just see if we can get anything else. Unbreaking 3. Perfect. Got exactly what we needed. We just got to combine them all now. I'd say that's a pretty good pickaxe. We're going to have to rethink this floor, though. That's a problem for later. For now, we're going to go caving instead of using our mining drill. I really need to light up this area. That is not good. I fear for my librarian's health. Oh, my days. Endermen have been going mad down here. Look at this. There's random blocks everywhere. Well, it appears I forgot my food, so let's quickly go grab some of that. Oh, look at this. I think I found a copper vein. Yeah, this is definitely a copper vein. Awesome. That'll definitely help solve the copper situation. Oh. And this is why I need better gear. Or just to be better at the game in general. That could also help. Luckily, we didn't have to go too far to get our stuff back. Ooh, found a lush cave. Right under our base. This is nice. Well, our underground mission has been fairly successful. We've got a bunch of zinc, copper, and redstone. That should be enough for what we need. Now we need to go into the nether, however, because I also need some quartz. And we also need to get some crying obsidian, which means we need to cook up our gold and take that with us, because we're going to have to do a whole bunch of trading. Right, let's go get some quartz and some crying obsidian. Oh, look at that. There's a whole bunch of piggos right here. And look at that. We're getting crying obsidian already. Wonderful. And while they're trading, we're going to grab some quartz. We've only managed to get 20 crying obsidian so far from trading, and we've run out of gold, so I'm going to grab a little bit more, as well as some more glowstone. Well, I've managed to get 34 crying obsidian in the end, which should be enough. So let's get all this cooked up, and we can get to crafting. The time has finally come. I think we're prepared. What I need to do is get power into this building over here. So if we dig down a bunch, and I'll turn my brightness up while we do this, just so we can all see what's going on. And that should be about far enough. I just want to make sure that we're under the ocean. And what I want to do is put my drill down, and we're going to dig a great big tunnel under the ocean here, all the way out to the windmills. Wait a minute, where's the mining music? That's better. There we go. We now have a bunch of underground tunnels, which look absolutely disgusting. I think we'll probably make these look nice in future and use them as kind of service tunnels, but they link underneath every single windmill that we've got. And if we jump into FreeCam, we can see currently we have these chains that just sort of go through the walls that connect them all together, but we're going to get rid of those and move them underground. And then we can use this great big tunnel here to get the power all the way back to our building. So let's start with this one here. The first thing we need to do is remove that chain, and this. Then we'll bring this down underground and stick on the chain conveyor. We just need to do that with the other 4 now and then get them all linked together. This should only take a moment. Alrighty, we've got all of the windmills connected. The power's going down this giant tunnel now, all the way back to our base. We just need to route it upstairs. So let's just do this, and we can bring some shafts all the way to the top. Or at least we could if we had enough shafts. Let's get some more. Beautiful. So I guess now we can design this room. Let's see what we can come up with. short while later, and I think we're just about done in here. We've got these weird spinny things. Don't really know what they're for, but they get the power up here, which means we have a speed controller so we can control everything. We have stressometers, speedometers, and of course a board showing us how much we've used, which I would assume is actually just the chain conveyor belt thingies, how much we've got available, and how much we have in total. I've also made these cool little shelf things using copycat panels and copycat vertical slices, which I think look really cool, and I liked them so much I actually dumped a bunch upstairs as well. But with that, this building here is done, or at least the interior is. I think on the outside, I need to sleep. There we go, that's better. But yeah, as I was saying, I think on the outside, what I want to have is some kind of big tower up here that's going to then distribute the power to all the other buildings. But I don't really know what I want that to look like yet, and I don't know what direction I need the power to go in, because I don't know where the other buildings are going. So we'll save that for something to do in future. But now one last thing I want to do is to get all of these windmills out here chunk loaded, which means I need to make myself some of these chunk loaders. And that also means I'm going to need to set up my mechanical crafter. And I think the only space I've really got to do it is down here. So let's just get this out of the way. It's a bit of a weird shaped one, so it needs to be like that. And all the arrows are going into here. That's good. You just need to get some power in. And a couple of small cogs there should do that. Beautiful. Now, in order to make these, we do need respawn anchors and precision mechanisms. The rest is easy enough. We already have it. And these, thanks to collecting some obsidian and glowstone, should be fairly easy as well. So let's turn this back into glowstone blocks. We're going to make a bunch of these. We also needed brass casings. We need glass. And we need shafts that we've already got. So now we just need to make some of these, which means I need to get a bit of gold. And we've already got the cogs. And we're going to need about 15 of these precision mechanisms. So we could be here a while. Well, thanks to the 3 failures I had, I only had enough cogs and bits with me to be able to make 9 precision mechanisms, but that means we can make 3 chunk loaders, which will hopefully be enough to be able to cover all of this. And let's go build them. So we have those 3 there, then we have brass in the corners, shaft at the bottom, and glass all the way round, with a respawn anchor in the middle. And there we go, 1 chunk loader. Let's make a couple more. Now, that's half of a chunk loader. The other half involves us going to the nether. And now we need to fly around until we find some ghasts, because we need to catch a ghast in each one of these. Thankfully, because we've got a jetpack, we should be able to catch them fairly easily once we do find them. And a soul sand biome would be wonderful right about now. Oh, there's one. Hello, buddy. And there we go. Yes, we caught him. Excellent. We just need 2 more. Soul sand. So I believe ghasts are more likely to spawn in this biome. Oh, hello. There's a dried ghast there. Don't mind if I do. And while I'm here, we're going to grab ourselves some bone blocks because I don't have a good source of bone meal at the moment, so that's probably going to come in handy. Oh, and another dried ghast. These are easy to find. They're all over the place. Now, I just need a couple more real ghasts. Come here, buddy. No. Oh, and there's another one. Excellent. And there we go. We have 3 chunk loaders. Now, what I need to do is figure out the best position for these chunk loaders, because we've only got 3 and we want to make sure that all 5 of these are loaded. And the way these chunk loaders work is by receiving power. You give them power and they load an area of 3x3, I think, by default, but you can set them up to 5x5. As in, they'll load a 5x5 chunk area. Now, what I should have done when I built these windmills is actually made sure they were all placed directly inside chunks, but I didn't do that. So let's press F3 and G, and yeah, as you can see, it's gone a little bit over. So let's just see how big this entire area is. So, of course, it's slightly too big. It is 16 chunks long by 5 chunks deep. 5 chunks deep is fine, but 16 chunks long makes things a little bit more awkward. So I think the best solution for me here is actually just going to be to get 5 chunk loaders and just place 1 inside each windmill, just loading a 3x3 area. So let's just put that on there, and we'll set that to load a 3x3 area, which means it will get this entire windmill. And let's just turn that back on, and we'll go do that to 2 more, and then, yep, we're going to have to make ourselves a couple more chunk loaders. So that means I need to make a bunch more andesite alloy. So now I can make more shafts, make a stack of cogs, and then make a stack of large cogs. We're also going to need some iron nuggets, so we can make some more precision mechanisms. So we can then make a couple more chunk loaders, and find a couple more ghasts. There we go, there's our second one. And now we can chunk load the last 2 windmills. Excellent. Now we have all 5 of those chunk loaded, which means they're always going to produce power. So I can route that power all over the world. So when I load the different areas that we have that use the power, it'll always stay on. And we can just expand on that over time. So let's just quickly clean this up. We don't want this mechanical crafting table in here. That needs to go in a workshop, which is something we don't have yet. But I think that's something we'll work towards next episode. But sadly, that's all we've got time for today. I know I didn't actually manage to upgrade my gear in the end, but I've got a lot of re-rolling to do on the librarians, and I need to get this video out. So that's something I'll do between episodes. So hopefully next time you see me, my armor will be shiny. Not that you can actually see it because I have it hidden, but it's nearly broken, so I definitely need to get some mending on it. But hopefully everything will all be enchanted. Our librarians will actually have useful trades, and we can crack on and build ourselves a workshop, and also figure out what we're going to do out the front here. But I think this is looking really good. Loving it so far. So if you want to see what we get up to next, then do make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out. And if you enjoyed this episode, please do give it a like, because that does somehow help YouTube show more people or something. I don't know. It can't hurt, right? But thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye now.